Welcome Midnighter. Before we start, smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Also, comment where in the world you're watching this from. We love the feedback. Kami Rhodes was 26 years old, black, brilliant with a violin bow, and she had been planning a murder for exactly 19 weeks. 6 months ago, her older brother Darnell was found dead in an alley behind a karaoke bar in Atlanta. 2 gunshots to the chest. No witnesses. No arrests. The police called it gang-related and moved on. Kami called it unfinished business. She had been on stage the night he died. First chair violinist. Bruch concerto. Standing ovation. 47 minutes later, she checked her phone and learned that the only family she had left was gone. She did not cry at the funeral. She sat in the front row with her hands folded and memorized the faces of every Korean man who showed up to pay respects. There were 6 of them. She remembered all 6. 3 weeks ago, a link appeared in her inbox. No message, just a YouTube URL. She clicked it. The video was grainy, shot from a security camera across the street. Black and white. Timestamp matching the night Darnell died. In the footage, her brother walked backward with his hands up. Then a slim Korean man in a dark coat stepped into frame. He fired once. Darnell fell. The man walked closer and fired again. Then he lit a cigarette and stood there, smoke curling around his face, while Darnell bled out on the asphalt. The comments identified him. Jae-won Han, Korean, early 30s, no criminal record, owned 3 nightclubs, a logistics company, and half the drug trade between Atlanta and Savannah. He was known as a ghost, beautiful, silent, and untouchable. Kami watched the video 217 times. By the 218th, she had stopped shaking. She had started planning. She quit the symphony, told her conductor she had family matters. He did not ask questions. Black women do not walk away from prestigious jobs unless something is very wrong, and people in classical music are trained not to look too closely. She found Darnell's old burner phone hidden under a floorboard in his bedroom. The police had missed it. On that phone were texts, voice memos, names, locations. Her brother had been deeper in the life than she ever knew. He owed $300,000 to a man named Jae-won Han. And according to a drunken voice memo Darnell recorded at 2 in the morning, he had been planning to kill that man first. Kami did not care about the context. She cared about one thing, getting close enough to make Jae-won Han pay. The burner phone gave her a name, Mr. Kang, Jae-won's second-in-command. Mr. Kang had a 12-year-old daughter named Soo-jin who needed a violin teacher. Kami dyed her hair brown. Bought glasses she did not need, made a fake teaching resume but used her real name because hiding it would have looked suspicious. Jae-won's people checked everything. She walked into Mr. Kang's 3,000-square-foot house with her violin case in one hand and Darnell's revolver in the bottom of her tote bag. Mr. Kang was a fat man with soft hands and hard eyes. He made her play Bach for 15 minutes. Then he made a phone call, spoke Korean fast and low. Hung up and said, "You start Monday, 7 p.m., don't be late." She was not late. The first lesson went smoothly. Soo-jin was shy but talented. Kami taught her scales, smiled at the right moments, and left without incident. The second lesson, he was there. Jae-won Han sat in the corner of the music room when she walked in. Black turtleneck, dark hair falling over one eye, hands resting on his knee. He did not introduce himself. He did not stand. He simply watched her for 5 full minutes while she pretended to set up her sheet music. Then he spoke. "That Bach piece you played at the audition, you rushed the cadenza." Kami kept her face neutral. "I was nervous." "No," his voice was soft, almost gentle. "You were angry, you play angry. Who are you angry at, Kami Rhodes?" He said her whole name like he already knew the answer. She looked at him. She thought about the video, the second shot, the cigarette. She thought about her brother's voice on that burner phone, drunk and weeping, saying, "I'm trash. Hate me, not him." She said, "Nobody. I'm not angry at anybody." Jae-won smiled. It did not reach his eyes. Liar. He stood and walked past her, close enough that she could smell cedar and smoke. He stopped at the door without turning around. You look like someone I used to know, around the eyes. Then he was gone. Kami stood in the empty music room for 30 seconds. Then she packed her violin, said goodnight to Soo-jin, and walked to her car. She sat in the driver's seat with her hands on the wheel and her heart slamming against her ribs. She did not start the engine for a long time. Because Jae-won Han had looked at her for 5 minutes and seen through every lie she had not even told yet, which meant her original plan, earn his trust, find his weakness, end him, was dead on arrival. So she needed a new plan. She was going to let him get close to her, let him become obsessed, and when he finally dropped his guard, she would remind him that grief does not have 5 stages. It has 6, and the 6th is violence. Kami Rhodes returned to Mr. Kang's house the following Monday at 7 p.m. sharp. She brought her violin, her sheet music, and the same revolver at the bottom of her tote bag. She told herself the gun was for emergencies. She did not define what counted as an emergency anymore. Soo-jin was waiting in the music room, already seated at the piano. The girl was 12, small for her age, with her father's soft face but none of his hardness. She played tentatively, like she expected every note to be wrong. Kami corrected her gently. She was good at gentleness. It cost her nothing. 40 minutes into the lesson, the door opened. Jae-won Han entered without knocking. He carried a small paper bag and wore the same black turtleneck from the week before, or perhaps a different one exactly like it. He did not acknowledge Kami. He walked to the piano, set the bag on top, and said something to Soo-jin in Korean. The girl smiled, a real smile, not the polite one she gave Kami, and pulled out a pastry wrapped in wax paper. Soo-jin offered Kami a piece. Kami declined. Jae-won watched her over the girl's head. When the lesson ended, Soo-jin hugged her father's lieutenant goodbye and disappeared upstairs with her pastry. Kami packed her violin slowly, waiting for Jae-won to leave first. He did not leave. He sat in the corner chair, legs crossed, hands folded in his lap, watching her. "You teach well," he said. "Thank you. You don't like children." Kami paused with her violin case half-latched. "I like Soo-jin fine." "I didn't ask about Soo-jin. I asked about children generally. You don't like them, you're too careful with her. People who like children are sloppy. You're never sloppy." Kami latched the case. "Maybe I'm just professional." Jae-won tilted his head. "Maybe." He stood and walked to the window. The street below was quiet. A black sedan sat at the curb with its engine running. Kami had noticed it on her way in. She had assumed it belonged to Kang's security. "That's my car," Jae-won said, as if reading her mind. "I had my driver follow you home last week, not to threaten you, to make sure no one else did." Kami's blood went cold. She kept her face still. "Why would anyone follow me?" He turned from the window. "You tell me." The room was silent for 3 seconds. Then Jae-won smiled, not the cold smile from before, but something smaller, almost private. "You're not very good at lying, Kami Rhodes, but you're very good at pretending. There's a difference. A liar invents. A pretender hides. You're hiding something. I don't know what yet, but I find you interesting." He walked past her again. This time he stopped closer. She could smell cedar and smoke and something else underneath. Coffee, maybe, or old paper. "I'm having dinner tomorrow night," he said. "My home, 8 o'clock. I'll send a car." It was not a question. Kami said nothing. He took her silence as agreement and left. The car arrived the next evening at exactly 8. A black Mercedes with tinted windows and a driver who did not speak English. Kami wore a dark green dress she had bought for her mother's funeral and never worn since. She did not bring the revolver. She brought a small vial of tasteless sedative she had crushed into powder and hidden in a hollowed-out lipstick tube. Jae-won's home was a penthouse in a building that did not advertise its name. The elevator opened directly into his living room. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Atlanta skyline. The furniture was minimal, black leather, dark wood, no photographs. A cello stood in the corner, not an expensive one. An old one, battered, with scratches on the body like it had been moved too many times. Jae-won was in the kitchen. He wore a white button-down with the sleeves rolled to his elbows. His forearms were thin but corded with muscle. She noticed a scar on his right wrist, pale and raised like a burn. He served her Korean food: rice, grilled meat, fermented vegetables, a stew she did not recognize. He did not explain any of it. He simply placed the bowl in front of her and sat across the table. They ate in silence for 5 minutes. Then he said, "I know who you are." Kami's hand stopped halfway to her glass. She did not look up. "Darnell Rhodes' sister," he continued. "I knew the moment I saw you at Kang's house. You have his eyes, his stubbornness, probably his temper too, though you hide it better." Kami set down her chopsticks. "If you knew, why didn't you kill me?" Jae-won leaned back in his chair. "Because you haven't tried to kill me yet." "I'm having dinner with you." "Exactly. If you wanted me dead, you wouldn't be sitting across from me eating my food. You'd be across the street with a rifle, or you'd have poisoned the stew." He gestured to her bowl. "You didn't, I checked." Kami stared at him. "You poisoned your own food to test me." "I poisoned nothing, but I watched you watch me eat first. You only started eating after I did. That tells me you're either careful or afraid. Either way, you're not an assassin. Assassins are stupid. You're not stupid." She did not know what to say, so she said nothing. Jae-won stood and walked to the cello in the corner. He ran his fingers over the strings without playing. "Your brother owed me money, $300,000 he stole from me. He lied to me, and in the end he tried to kill me. I don't expect you to believe that. I wouldn't believe it if I were you, but it's true." Kami felt the lipstick tube in her small clutch purse. She could powder his wine right now. He would not see it coming. He trusted her enough to turn his back. She did not move. "Why am I here?" she asked. Jae-won turned. In the low light his face looked older, tired. "Because I've been alone for a long time, and you're the first person who's looked at me like I'm a man instead of a monster, even if that look is mostly hatred." He walked back to the table and sat down. He did not reach for her. He did not apologize. He simply picked up his wine glass and waited. Kami picked up hers. They drank in silence. She did not use the powder. She told herself it was because the timing was wrong. She told herself she would find a better moment. She told herself a lot of things that night that turned out to be lies. The car took her home at midnight. Jae-won did not walk her to the elevator. He stayed in his chair, watching the city lights, and she watched him watch them until the doors closed. When she got home, she opened Darnell's burner phone and played his drunken voice memo again. "I'm trash. Hate me, not him." She threw the phone across the room. It hit the wall and cracked the screen further. Then she picked it up, brushed off the dust, and played it again. 3 days later, Jae-won sent her flowers. Red camellias, no note. She had to Google the meaning. In Korean culture, red camellias symbolize a deep, unspoken longing. They also symbolize a devotion that cannot be returned. She kept them on her windowsill until they wilted. Then she pressed one between the pages of her sheet music and did not ask herself why. The following week he came to every lesson. He sat in the corner and watched her teach. He did not speak. He did not interrupt. He simply existed in the room like a piece of furniture that happened to have a pulse. Soo-jin stopped noticing him after the second day. Kami never stopped. On Thursday, he drove her home himself. No driver, no sedan, just Jae-won behind the wheel of a black Audi, silent and focused, while Kami sat in the passenger seat with her violin case across her lap. He parked outside her apartment building. She reached for the door handle. He caught her wrist. His grip was light. She could have pulled away easily. She did not. "If you're going to kill me," he said quietly. Do it soon, because I don't want to spend the next year wondering when. She looked at his hand on her wrist, then at his face, then at the scar on his wrist, visible now in the streetlight. Why do you have that scar? She asked. He let go of her. My mother. She burned me with a cigarette when I was 7. She was sick, not in her body, in her head. She died when I was 12. I played her cello at her funeral. I haven't played since. He said it without self-pity, just facts, just the truth laid flat and bare. Kami got out of the car. She walked to her building. She did not look back. That night she did not sleep. She sat on her floor with Darnell's burner phone in one hand and the pressed camellia in the other. She thought about a 7-year-old boy with a cigarette burn on his wrist. She thought about her brother who had never burned her, never hit her, never been anything but kind to her, but who had also stolen $300,000 and tried to kill a man over it. She thought about the video, the second shot, the cigarette. She thought about how Jae-won smoked the same way her father used to, slow, deliberate, like the smoke was the only thing keeping him from screaming. She put the phone and the flower on her nightstand. She turned off the light. She did not cry, but in the dark, alone, she finally admitted something to herself that she had been running from for weeks. She did not want to kill Jae-won Han anymore. The problem was, she did not know what she wanted instead. Kami stopped bringing the gun. She did not decide to stop bringing it. She simply forgot it one night, and the next night she forgot it again, and by the third night she realized she had been leaving it in her nightstand drawer on purpose. She told herself she was being practical. Jae-won's people searched her bag every time she entered Kang's house now. They were polite about it. A young Korean man with a kind face would open her tote, glance inside, nod, and close it. If they found the revolver, they would kill her. So leaving the gun at home was not trust, it was survival. That was what she told herself. Jae-won came to every lesson now. He sat in the same corner chair, wore the same black clothes, watched her with the same unreadable expression. Sometimes he brought Soojin pastries. Sometimes he brought Kami coffee, black, no sugar, exactly how she drank it. She had never told him how she took her coffee. He had simply noticed. After the 4th week, he started walking her to her car. Not every night, just when the parking lot was dark or the street was empty. He never touched her. He walked beside her with his hands in his pockets and said nothing. When she reached her door, he would nod once and walk back inside. No goodbye, no see you tomorrow, just a nod. It drove her insane. You don't have to do that, she said one night. Walk me to my car, I'm not afraid of the dark. Jae-won glanced at her. I'm not walking you because you're afraid. I'm walking you because I'm afraid. She stopped. Of what? He kept walking. She had to hurry to catch up. Of something happening to you before I figure out why you're really here. I told you why I'm here. I teach violin. You teach violin badly, he said without looking at her. You're overqualified. You were first chair in a professional symphony. You don't need to tutor a 12-year-old for pocket money. You're here for something else. I've known it since the first night. I'm just waiting for you to tell me. Kami's heart hammered. She kept her voice steady. Maybe I like Soojin. Jae-won stopped at her car. He turned to face her. The parking lot light caught his face at an odd angle, half in shadow, half pale and sharp. You don't. You're kind to her because you're a kind person, but you don't like children. You told me that already, or you didn't tell me, you showed me. Kami unlocked her car. Good night, Jae-won. Darnell used to talk about you. She froze with her hand on the door handle. He was drunk most of the time he talked, but he never lied when he was drunk. He said you were the only good thing he ever made. He said if anything happened to him, he wanted you to hate him, not whoever killed him, him. He said you deserved to remember him as a brother, not as what he really was. Kami turned around, and what was he really? Jae-won held her gaze. A thief, a liar, a man who smiled at your face and put a gun to my head behind your back. He was not a good person, Kami. He was your brother. Those are not the same thing. She slapped him. It was not a hard slap. Her hand was shaking, his head barely moved, but he did not flinch, he did not get angry. He stood there with his cheek turning pink, and looked at her with something that looked painfully like pity. "Hit me again if it helps," he said quietly. "I meant what I said. I'm not a good person either, but I'm not lying to you. Your brother tried to kill me. I defended myself. You can hate me for the rest of your life. That's fair, that's more than fair. But don't hate yourself for not hating me enough. You feel what you feel." Kami got in her car and drove away. She cried for the first time since Darnell's funeral. She cried so hard she had to pull over on the highway. She sat on the shoulder with her hazard lights on and sobbed until her throat was raw. When she got home, she opened Darnell's burner phone one more time. She had memorized everything on it by now. The texts, the voice memo, the photo of the gun with the suppressor, but she had never looked at the call log. She looked now. The night he died, Darnell made 3 calls. The first was to an unknown number she now knew belonged to Jae-won. The second was to their mother's old number, disconnected for years. The third was to Kami. She had missed the call. She had been on stage. 47 minutes later, she checked her phone and saw one missed call from Darnell. She had assumed it was a butt dial. She had not called back. She had not called back. Kami sat on her floor with the phone in her lap and stared at the wall. Darnell had tried to call her before he walked into that alley. He had called their dead mother too. He had called Jae-won. 3 calls. One to the man he was about to try to kill. One to the woman who had already died. One to the sister who did not pick up. She did not know what he would have said. She would never know. The phone did not save voicemails. The only thing left was the drunk memo he had recorded days earlier, the one where he called himself trash and begged her to hate him instead of Jae-won. She played it again. "Kami, don't hate him, hate me. I started it." She threw the phone across the room. It shattered against the wall. Pieces of plastic and glass scattered across the hardwood floor. She sat in the pieces and did not move until dawn. The next evening she went back to Kang's house. She had not decided to go back. Her body had simply taken her there. She parked in the same spot, walked through the same door, nodded at the same young Korean man who searched her bag. He found no gun. He found no lipstick tube full of powder. He found sheet music, a metronome, and a broken woman pretending to be whole. Soo-jin played terribly that night. Kami could not focus. She corrected the wrong notes, missed the right ones, and finally apologized to the girl and cut the lesson 30 minutes short. Jae-won was not in his corner. She had not expected him to be. He came only 3 or 4 times a week now, never on a schedule, always unpredictable. Tonight he was absent. She should have felt relieved. She felt hollow. She walked to her car. The parking lot was empty. The street was quiet. She unlocked her door and heard footsteps behind her. She turned. Jae-won stood 10 feet away. He was not wearing his usual black. He wore a gray hoodie and jeans, and he looked smaller without the armor of expensive clothes. His hair was wet like he had just showered. His eyes were red. "I went to your apartment," he said. "You weren't there. I waited for an hour, then I came here." Kami gripped her car door. "Why?" "Because I needed to tell you something before I lost the nerve." He took a step closer, then another. He stopped 5 feet away, close enough to touch, far enough to run. "I don't know why you're here. I don't know if you came to kill me or rob me or simply watch me burn. But I know I can't stop thinking about you. I know I check the security cameras at Kang's house 30 times a day just to see if your car is in the driveway. I know I had my men run a background check on you before you ever taught your first lesson. And I know I deleted the report without reading it because I didn't want to know anything about you that you hadn't told me yourself." Kami said nothing. Jae-won exhaled slowly. "Your brother was my friend before he was my enemy. He was the only person I trusted in this country, and I killed him. That will never be clean. That will never be okay. But you are not your brother. And I am not the same man who pulled that trigger. I don't know if that matters to you. I don't know if anything I say matters at all, but I needed you to hear it." The parking lot was silent. Somewhere in the distance, a train horn blew. Kami closed her car door. She did not get in. She walked toward Jae-won until there was no space between them. She could smell cedar and smoke and the soap from his shower. She could see the faint red mark on his cheek where she had slapped him 3 nights ago. "I'm not going to kill you," she said. "I know. I don't forgive you either. I know that too." She reached up and touched his face. Her fingers brushed the red mark. He closed his eyes. "Then why are you still here?" he whispered. Kami did not answer. She kissed him instead. It was not gentle. It was not romantic. It was the kiss of two people who had both lost everything and found something unrecognizable in the wreckage. He kissed her back like he was drowning and she was air. His hands found her waist. Her hands found his wet hair. They stood in the empty parking lot under a flickering light and held each other like the world was ending. When they finally pulled apart, Jae-won rested his forehead against hers. "I don't deserve this," he said. "No," Kami agreed, "you don't." She got in her car and drove home. She did not look back. But for the first time in 6 months, she did not dream about the video. She dreamed about nothing at all. The call came at 2 in the morning. Kami was asleep in her apartment, alone, though she had not been alone the night before. Jae-won had stayed until midnight, lying on her couch with his head in her lap while she played her violin softly just for him. He had left without waking her. She found a note on her coffee table in the morning. His handwriting was small and precise, like a man who had learned to take up as little space as possible. "I'll come back when you want me to. Take your time." She had wanted him to come back. She had been trying to figure out how to say that when her phone rang. The caller ID said Aunt Carol, but the voice on the other end was not her aunt's. "Kami Rhodes," a man's voice, accented, not Korean, Japanese maybe. "Your aunt is comfortable. She will stay comfortable if you do exactly what I say." Kami sat up in bed. Her hand went to the nightstand drawer where the revolver used to be. The drawer was empty. She had left the gun at Jae-won's penthouse 3 nights ago and never retrieved it. "Who is this?" "Someone who wants what Jae-won Han has, and you are going to help me take it." The man gave her an address, a warehouse on Mitchell Street. He told her to come alone. He told her not to call the police. He told her that if Jae-won showed up, her aunt would die before he reached the door. Then he hung up. Kami sat in the dark for 30 seconds. Then she called Jae-won. He answered on the first ring. "I know," he said. "Kimura's men took her an hour ago. I have eyes on the warehouse. I'm already in the car." "Don't come." "Kami." "If you come, they kill her. You heard what he said." "I heard. I also heard he'll kill her anyway once he has what he wants. Men like Kimura don't keep promises. They keep leverage. The moment you walk through that door alone, you become the leverage. He'll use you to get to me, then he'll kill you both." Kami was already dressing. Jeans, boots, a black jacket. She did not have the revolver, but she had Darnell's old hunting knife in the kitchen drawer. She pulled it out. The blade was dull. She did not care. "Then give him what he wants," she said. "Whatever it is, your territory, your money, your life, I don't care, just give it to him." Jae-won was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. "You don't mean that. You're scared. You're saying whatever you think will keep her alive. But you know how this works. You've known since the night you walked into Kang's house. Some men cannot be negotiated with. Kimura is one of them." Kami stopped at her front door. The knife was in her hand. Her keys were in the other. "Then what do I do?" "Stay there. Let me handle it." "If you go, I go." "Kami." "I'm not asking." She hung up. She drove to Mitchell Street. The warehouse was exactly where the man said it would be, abandoned, dark, the kind of place where bodies went to never be found. Kami parked 2 blocks away and walked the rest. The knife was in her boot. Her hands were empty. Two men waited at the side door. Not Korean, Japanese, Kimura's people. They patted her down, found the knife, and took it. Then they led her inside. The warehouse smelled like rust and old blood. A single light hung from the ceiling, swaying slightly, casting long shadows across the concrete floor. In the center of the room, tied to a metal folding chair, sat Aunt Carol. Her mouth was taped. Her eyes were wide and wet. She was not bleeding. That was the only mercy. Kami started toward her. A hand grabbed her arm and stopped her. Not yet. The man from the phone stepped out of the shadows. He was older than Jae-won, maybe 50, with a shaved head and a snake tattoo crawling up his neck. He wore a suit that cost more than Kami's car. He smiled like a man who had never been told no. "You're prettier than your brother," he said. He was ugly, good with numbers though, terrible with loyalty. "Let her go," Kami said. "I'm here, you don't need her." "I don't need either of you, I need Jae-won, and Jae-won needs you." He tilted his head. "Do you know why he hasn't killed me yet? I've taken 3 of his warehouses, 4 of his distribution routes. I put a bullet in his best man last month. He should have come for me, but he didn't, because he was too busy watching you." Kimura walked in a slow circle around her. Kami did not turn to follow him. She kept her eyes on her aunt. "At first I thought you were a rival plant, someone sent to distract him, but no, you're just a woman, a violinist, a dead gangster's sister." He laughed. "And he fell in love with you, the great Jae-won Han, ghost of Atlanta, brought down by a pair of brown eyes and a sad song." Kami said nothing. "Here's what's going to happen," Kimura continued. "You're going to call him, you're going to tell him to come alone, and when he walks through that door I'm going to kill him. Then I'm going to let you and your aunt go. That's the deal." Kami looked at her aunt. Carol shook her head, a small movement. Desperate, "Don't." Kami looked at Kimura. "If I call him, you'll kill him. If I don't call him, you'll kill us both. Either way, someone dies tonight." Kimura's smile widened. "Now you understand." The door behind her crashed open. Kami turned. Jae-won stood in the doorway. He was alone. His hands were empty. He wore the same gray hoodie from the parking lot, the one that made him look young and tired and human. Behind him, the night stretched black and empty. "I said come alone," Kimura said. "I am alone," Jae-won replied. He walked into the warehouse. His footsteps echoed. He did not look at Kami. He looked only at Kimura, and his face was the face of a man who had already decided to die. "Let the women go," Jae-won said. "You don't want them, you want me, I'm here." Kimura pulled a gun from his jacket, a small thing, black, efficient. He pointed it at Jae-won's chest. "You should have stayed hidden," Kimura said. "You were good at that, the ghost who never bled. But then you fell in love, and love makes men stupid." Jae-won did not flinch. "It does." He took another step forward, then another. The gun was 10 feet away, then 5. Kami wanted to scream. She wanted to run. She wanted to grab the knife from the guard's belt and bury it in Kimura's throat, but her body would not move. Jae-won stopped 3 feet from the barrel of the gun. "I'm not going to beg," he said quietly. "I'm not going to bargain. You've already decided to kill me, so do it. But let them walk out that door first, or I promise you the men outside will burn this building to the ground with everyone inside." Kimura laughed. "You brought men." "I brought 1 man, that's all I need." The lights went out. Complete darkness, total, absolute. Kami heard a scuffle, a grunt, a single gunshot, then silence. She dropped to the floor and crawled toward where her aunt had been. Her hands found the chair, found Carol's shaking fingers. She pulled the tape from her aunt's mouth. Carol gasped. "Run," Kami whispered. "Toward the door, don't stop." They ran. The side door was still open. Moonlight spilled through. Kami pushed Carol through first, then turned back. In the darkness behind her, someone was breathing. Jae-won. A hand found hers. Warm, familiar, the scar on the wrist. "I'm here," he said. "Go." "Not without you." You have to. No. They ran together. The three of them, Kami, Jae-won, Aunt Carol, stumbled into the night air. Behind them the warehouse sat silent. No more gunshots, no more shouts, just the sound of their own ragged breathing. Jae-won pulled Kami behind a dumpster. His hands were shaking. She had never seen his hands shake before. "Kimura," she asked. "Dead," he said. "My man got him in the dark." "Your man?" Jae-won looked at her. In the dim light his face was pale. His left sleeve was dark with blood. "You're hit," Kami said. "Grazed, it's nothing." It was not nothing, but she did not argue. She tore a strip from her shirt and wrapped his arm. He let her. He sat very still and let her take care of him, and she realized that was the most vulnerable thing she had ever seen him do. A car pulled up. The young Korean man with the kind face, the one who searched her bag every night, was behind the wheel. He opened the back door. Kami helped Jae-won inside. Carol climbed in after them. The car drove away before anyone could speak. They went to Jae-won's penthouse. It was the safest place, he said. The only place Kimura's remaining men would not dare to follow. The young Korean man, his name was Jae-won, Kami learned, cleaned and stitched Jae-won's arm while Carol drank tea on the couch and stared at nothing. Kami sat on the floor with her back against the wall. She watched Jae-won work. She watched Jae-won not flinch. She watched her aunt's hand stop shaking. When Jae-won left, the three of them were alone. Carol spoke first. "Darnell," she said, "did he really try to kill you?" Jae-won nodded. "Yes, ma'am." Carol closed her eyes. "I raised him from a baby. I changed his diapers. I taught him right from wrong, and he turned out to be a killer anyway." "Yes, ma'am." She opened her eyes. "And you're a killer too." "Yes, ma'am." Carol looked at Kami, then back at Jae-won. Then she stood up, walked to the kitchen, and poured herself another cup of tea. She did not say another word that night. The sun rose over Atlanta, pink and gold and painfully ordinary. Kami stood at the window and watched it. Jae-won stood behind her. He did not touch her. He simply existed in her orbit, close enough to feel. "I should hate you," Kami said. "I know. My brother tried to kill you. You killed him instead. That's fair. That's self-defense. I know all of that. I've known it for weeks. But knowing something and feeling something are not the same thing." "No," Jae-won agreed. "They're not." Kami turned to face him. His arm was bandaged. His face was tired. His eyes were the same dark eyes that had watched her from the corner chair, the same eyes that had seen her slap him and kiss him and walk away and come back. "I don't forgive you," she said. "Not yet, maybe not ever, but I don't want to kill you anymore, and I don't want to leave." Jae-won's breath caught, just slightly, just enough for her to notice. "Then stay," he said. "For how long?" He reached out, his fingers brushed her cheek. "As long as it takes." Kami leaned into his hand. She closed her eyes. The sun was warm on her face. The city was waking up below them. Somewhere out there, her brother was dead. Her aunt was alive. The man who had killed Darnell was standing in front of her, asking for nothing but her presence. She did not know what came next. She did not know if love could grow from something so broken. She did not know if forgiveness was a door she would ever be able to walk through. She did not know if she was strong enough to stay or weak enough to leave or something else entirely, something that had no name yet. What do you do when the person who ruined your life is the only person who makes you feel whole? What do you call a love that begins with a funeral and ends with a sunrise? And if obsession cuts both ways, if she was just as obsessed with him as he was with her, then who really destroyed whom? Kami Rhodes did not have the answers. She had only the morning light, the warmth of his hand on her face, and the quiet, terrifying certainty that she was exactly where she was supposed to be. She opened her eyes. "Make me breakfast," she said, "and then we figure out the rest." Jae-won smiled, a real smile, the first one she had ever seen. He went to the kitchen. She stayed at the window. The sun rose higher. The city kept living. And somewhere in the distance, a violin played the first notes of a song that had not been written yet. If you made it this far, you already know love and hate are not opposites. They're the same fire, just different temperatures. So here's the question I need you to answer in the comments. Could you forgive the person who killed your brother if you found out your brother was the one holding the gun first? And if your answer is no, what would it take to change your mind? Smash like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because the story doesn't end here. It never ends here. It just changes hands. See you in the next one.